Has there ever been an episode from Thomas that you've watched in the past and thought, this works? I think different episodes on this and that for characters or settings, but this one works because to me, Ryan and Daisy is just that episode. Before we talk about this episode, let's go back a few train journeys back into 2015 where we got Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. As we all know, while Thomas is going through a hard time, he is helping out with the construction work that runs up to Harwick. We are introduced to Ryan here, and we see his character in action, and at the end of the film, he is the goods engine for the new line. And to the surprise of many, the team bring Daisy back. Watching the end of Lost Treasure with this scene back then, you know there'll be some stories set along the line. I thought we'd have 2 episodes with Daisy reintroducing her to the younger audience, and Ryan having a spotlight episode. I thought it'd be something like that for season 20. But I was surprised that the 2 ended up getting an episode together, and how did this episode play out? The plot starts by reintroducing the audience to Daisy and talks about that she works the branch line with Ryan, who is the goods engine. The Fat Controller tells Ryan that he has given him and Daisy more jobs and to pass on a message to Daisy. When he next sees her, Daisy makes excuses up again and again, and poor Ryan is dealing with both Daisy's work as well as his own. It gets too messy and Ryan makes a few mistakes. The Fat Controller finds out and has a word with them both, and to make up for being lazy, Daisy does Ryan's jobs for him, while he has a well-earned rest. This episode is pure genius. That's all I can say about it in general, but what makes this a standout episode is our main characters for this episode. Let's start with Daisy. Daisy is definitely one of, if not, the best character to appear from the model series to CGI. The writers and staff at the time knew Daisy would be a great character to use, and this is only just her first spotlight episode in the CGI series, and I would say it's my favourite Daisy episode. For those who never knew, Daisy thinks of herself as a high-class engine and everything should be just needed for her. If there's something she doesn't approve of, she'll say they are bad for her swerves or her fitter's orders. This goes well when you reflect back to her debut. Daisy was very lazy, rude, and thought she was high class, and made excuses on her swerves and fitter. She was close to being sent away, but of course, she redeemed herself and promised to work hard. For many years, she has been working on Thomas's branch line, and if you try to view both the model and CGI eras as a whole timeline, Daisy stays and works on Thomas's branch line for many years, and then gets promoted to work on the new branch line along the coast to Harwick. She worked alongside those she made to do her work in the early days, and now she doesn't have to worry about the likes of Percy or Toby telling her what to do or causing drama with them. She has a new face with her and can wrap the new guy around her buffer to help her out. Old habits die hard if you feud both the model and CGI eras together on Daisy, that's for sure. She's definitely the MVP in season 20. Now on to Ryan. Bless him. Ryan is one of the nicest characters you will ever meet and just brings a smile to your face. He's the new face on the railway. Unfortunately, he wouldn't know about Daisy's past. He was brought briefly to help out on Thomas's branch line when he first arrived, and then to help out with the construction. Once built, he is straight away working on the line with Daisy. He might have spoken to Percy and Toby, and even Daisy when he worked on Thomas's branch line, but because Daisy had become a better engine, those who dealt with Daisy when she first arrived wouldn't have to worry about telling Ryan to be careful with Daisy. And the poor guy is unaware with Daisy here. Also, the way she talks about Ryan doing her work will make him really useful. Ryan will be pleased by that. He is the newest engine on the railway, of course. He'll want to do anything that will make him a really useful engine. Despite being a story on both characters, it's more Ryan we follow here. He has his own new jobs, and now Daisy is throwing her extra jobs onto Ryan, and it gets so much for the poor guy. And look what happens. The ending where the Fat Controller speaks to both of them goes deeper than you think, if you ask me, as it sends a very strong message out there for the audience to consider. It was nice and a good thing that Ryan helps his friend out, but the favour should be returned. Ryan was being nice, but he shouldn't tackle everything and need some weight taken off his buffers, as it's not fair on him to do everything. Daisy was lazy and unfair. She didn't even play her part, and that's another thing I love about. It's moral. It's about teamwork and friendship, yeah, but it sets a good example for kids entering the real world in the future. Think about it. When you go to a job or doing a big project at an activity place, you are going to be playing your part one way or another. You don't want to do too much for being so helpful like Ryan, but you shouldn't be slacking and getting others to do your jobs like Daisy. It's being fair on one another. The episode ends in one of the most satisfying ways ever. The Fat Controller gives Daisy some other jobs, and she gives her Ryan's new jobs instead. Daisy is unhappy and making excuses again, but the Fat Controller's face speaks for itself by this, and Daisy gives in. Despite hating this, she will willingly doing it for Ryan, for being a good friend. The episode ends with Daisy facing the music, but Ryan reminds her that she is being a good friend, and Daisy says to Ryan, "So are you." We all need Ryan in our lives, if you ask me. This episode is fantastic. It starts with a brilliant setup explaining who Daisy is for the purpose of the story to happen, the main plot happens, and the episode ends with Daisy dealing with her consequences. It handles an old and new face brilliantly, and for everything they set up with this new location and dynamic characters they foreshadowed, Ryan and Daisy is an episode that really works. I would definitely say Ryan and Daisy is one of my top 3 favourite Season 20 episodes, along with Tit for Tat and Blown Away. And after writing the script for this video, I can also say that this episode is one of my top 10 favourites of CGI Thomas, and maybe even be in the top 20 of my all-time favourites, for its characters, messages, and being an episode that made sense from day one.